Mike Owens here. They're joined by Adrian Yanez, who returns to action October 14th, facing Jonathan Martinez, UFC Fight Night. Adrian, always a pleasure, my man. How are things with you today?
Oh man, things are great, man. Living, loving life, man. This is uh super cool, man. I get a tough opponent in Jonathan Martinez on October 14th, man. And I get to go out there and right my last mistake.
We can start straight at the last fight, or we can move into the new fight. It's
Oh yeah.
completely up to you.
I'm here for all of it.
Obviously, it'll be about 6 months since the last fight against Rob Font. Now going into this Martinez fight. For those who maybe haven't been keeping abreast of your Instagram, how have things been in the world of Adrian Yanez?
Man, it honestly, everything's been great, man. It's just one of these weird things of like uh moving now, if that I'm not like kind of just moving along, trying to like it took me like a second to get past it, but honestly after International Fight Week it was like a cool moment because I got to talk to like Dominic Cruz and all that stuff and got like kind of gave me like a little sense of like a clarity type deal. It was like, hey, like you you live through life. Don't worry about bullshit that's happened. Just live and go. And then ever since then, like everything started like a lot of positive things that started happening my way. So I'm not been a lot more grateful with a lot of things coming my way. So yeah, it's been a cool experience of like being able to talk to someone like Dominic and kind of getting a change of perspective and like, yeah, you know what, yeah. So I've been grateful a lot, man. And then uh just moving forward, man, like trying to do any good I can, if that makes sense.
I love it. Well, so not moving forward, you've obviously got a big task ahead of you on the 14th of October. You'll be facing Jonathan Martinez. Just give me your overall scouting report of your next opponent.
Yeah, man. Jonathan, man, he's a heavy kicker. He has power in his hands, kick heavy, good clinch work, some good ground game, some good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu, but like I feel like his bread and butter is in the stand-up department. And again, he's just one of those guys who's just gonna try to kick the shit out your leg and kick the shit out your head. So uh yeah, pretty much that's the overall basis. He's like he has some slick stuff. Uh he has some slick stuff, but like again, like anytime you like see Jonathan Martinez heavy kicks, he's really heavy on the kick. So something we're preparing for.
100%. Obviously, Martinez is now on this five-fight win streak, flown a little bit under the radar, now getting himself, I think, ranked number 13 in the division. The big wins over Cub Swanson and Saeed Nurmagomedov come to mind. But has Martinez been someone that you've been keeping your eye on as he's been making this progression up to the top 15?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like again, like he was in the UFC longer than I've been, so
Mm.
like I've always been looking at these guys. Martinez is just one of those guys who's like never let a loss like kind of take him off of like the path he's been on. So I already knew he was going to be a problem anyway. So for me, he's kind of been in the line of sights already. Like I like it was weird because I talked to him at International Fight Week, and I was like, man, I've been trying to get a fight, trying to get something booked and all that stuff, and he was like, yeah, man, me too. I was like, yeah, me too. And then like we got cool, we got real cool. We are talking to each other. It's like I told him, it's like, yeah, man, like honestly, if I'm being honest with you, man, I'm trying to fight like as soon as possible. Like I told Jason, like we have the same manager. I told him that I told her, man, I fight any one of these motherfuckers. His name came up, and I was like, hey man, it is what it is. So it like we both expressed the same thing that like both are like whenever I talk about it, like, man, I just got cool with this motherfucker too. It's like he was like, you know what, Jonathan said the same thing. So yeah, no, it's cool, man. We both have respect for each other. We like it. We both have respect for each other. We both like have like a similar mindset towards all of it, and it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool running. I'm gonna get to fight somebody who is like minded like you, and like there's no ill will. It's just like, hey, bro, like we're signed to fight each other. Me and him can probably go grab some brownies after the fight and shit, so that'd be pretty cool.
Sounded like Sean Shelby could take a back seat on the matchmaking for this fight. It sounded like you did it all yourself, Adrian.
Man, no, that was the like I had a couple names in mind whenever I was asking for a fight. Whenever I was asking for a fight initially, because I've been trying to get a fight booked since once I got cleared by the doctor. back in May, I was like trying to get a fight booked, and I was like, yeah, like guys, I'm already training. I'm already training, getting back to the swing of things. Like I was trying to fight to end of August. Like the timeline for me is like I wanted to be fighting right now or be fighting early next month. That was my timeline. But things didn't plan out my way, and that was kind of like we're like kind of going back and forth with Sean trying to get an earlier match or an earlier fight. Uh, but yeah, things didn't go the way we were hoping they would plan, and like the fights I was calling for was just like they were just like, hey, like they're just like, it's best if you just fight someone who's ranked, business wise, fight someone who's a little bit ranked. I was like, I don't care. Like I told y'all, man, I would have fought somebody else. I would have fought, like I threw my name in there every single time someone fell out. I was like, hey guys, like I'll fight one of these guys for sure. I was like, y'all know me, I'll fight anybody. So pretty much I was like, ranked guy, got a guy like Jonathan Martinez in front of me. I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a fun fight anyway. So because I knew my position. I knew I had just lost against the ranked guy, and then I was like, you know what? I'm at the tail end of the rankings. Some guy just ranked outside the top 15, deserves a shot. I know where I stand. I don't want to be held up by these guys who are ranked not wanting to fight certain people. It's like, girl, I'll fight anybody. And then luckily for me, I didn't have to fight outside the rankings. I got somebody that's right ahead of me, so that worked out in favor for me. So now I'm all for it.
No, 100%. And I know that when the news about Corey Sandhagen's fight with Umar Nurmagomedov came out, that you threw your hat in on Twitter to potentially try and get that fight on August 5th. Was there any progression on that fight past the tweet, or was that just did nothing happen there on the UFC
Oh
side?
man, I was I was sitting by my phone for a couple hours. Like I was like, me and my manager were talking to each other, calling each other for like about like for a good span of like 3 to 4 hours, seeing what they were gonna do. Man, I this isn't the first time. Like I did it whenever I threw my name in the hat whenever they were looking for a fight for Cheeto.
Mm.
To fight, like, and they ended up getting Pedro, which honestly respected Pedro for doing that, again. And then I can understand why they went with Pedro instead of me. I'm at the tail end. Pedro's got the name. He has the name. He has all the rights. He pretty much takes president over me. And then also the Corey fight, I was trying to make it happen. Like I was like, bro, I don't care. Like I'm not 5 rounds ready, but I know I can go 3, but I don't care if you want to leave it at 5. I was like, I'll make 35 too. It was like I was on the phone with manager. I'll make 35. Like I don't give a fuck. Like I'll make it. I'll be there. Be there to fight. I just want to make sure that I get paid for it. And then while in that same moment, I started getting updates that Song Yudong had to pull out too. And I was just like, at the same time, I was like, bro, look, there's opportunities everywhere. Just put me in where you see fit. And then they're just like, well, it's like, well, they already had fights booked. We're just gonna put them together. But it was real close. I was like a close second because I was pretty much on standby for like a couple hours, and next I saw that they just went ahead and went with Font. I was like, okay, that's another great fight anyways right there. Font and Corey, that was a big one. So I was tuned in, ready watching that. I did a watch along for that one too. So yeah, no, I was ready to go at any moment.
I love it. And obviously you mentioned the man there, Rob Font, who obviously that your last fight coming off that defeat. I guess what was the biggest takeaways? Obviously, the old phrase, you win or you learn. What were the biggest kind of learning lessons that you had from that night
Man,
back in Miami?
honestly, so kind of looking back at the fights that I've had even before Font, like I've been able to get away with like getting sloppy and getting a little bit like how can I say it? Like I kind of had to take an overall look. I would kind of get away from like I would turn into much of a into a like a slugger. I know I can slug with the best of them and all that stuff, but when you got a guy like Rob in front of you who's like he can slug with you, but he stays like a tactician through and through. And for me, like I had to be like, all right, I looked at the fights before. I've been able to get away with it. The only fight that I didn't get away from it at all was that fight with Gustavo, because I took him the most serious I had taken anybody, especially at that time, and I was able to stay technical. I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna stay technical the whole entire time because I know the risk and possibilities of that. I had like my mindset did not stay the same for that. Like did not stay the same how I wanted it to for that Rob fight. You know, if I would have took like if I would have kept the same mentality, like, hey, just because I hurt him doesn't mean I get to go crazy. You know, like, if I put him down, I have to put him down. So whenever I fought Rob, you know, I was like, again, it kind of goes into that fight, into the thing where like, man, 9-fight win streak. I've been putting out almost everybody down. Go in there, I hurt Rob like within that first minute, and I'm like, oh shit, I can go for it. I can go for it. And I started going for it. But again, all the time leading up to the Font fight, I knew what was in front of me. I knew that I had Font in front of me. I was like I said it, I tried to say it in the most respectful way, but it always sounded bad. It's like I was calling him a fucking cockroach because this motherfucker just will not die. Right? He's just one of those guys that like you can hit him, it doesn't matter. You can hit him, he can get dropped, he comes back up, he fights even harder. And that's like one of the things that I kind of like I admired, like I really admired about him. So whenever I heard him, you know, I was like, oh, I'm a killer. I'm gonna go after him. And he worked his way back into a fight and changed the tide like that. And while I was like in kill mode, I noticed the change of tide way too late. And I was like, shit, I got away. And then that's whenever like I was trying to be like, I got to get respect. And then whenever I should have just reset it instead of just like trying to like, you know what, I'm just gonna bang, like I had to get him off me and do this. So I started throwing heavier, got sloppier, and then it just ended up not going well for me because he started doing real good slick shit. You know, I would slip on the jab on the inside, he would cup the back of my head and pretty much knew exactly where to be placing his punches right after that. So that's super slick shit. A lot of people don't know that, a lot of people don't do that, but he did, and was able to catch me in a perfect opportunity and just caught me right on the tip of the chin, fucking put me out, you know. So at the end of the day, for me, what I took from that and learned from that was like, hey, like I can't do that at this level. I have to, like, I was just talking to my coach about it earlier today. I was like, especially with the guy like Jonathan Martinez, like I was pretty much was just like, look, if I fight like technical and I just fight on my toes and I just keep like and I fight with my, you know, smart aggression, like I can hang with the best in the world and I can possibly be holding that belt. It was like, you know, with ease. But it's like I have to break my mindset from getting, because I get into those, like I can even sense it whenever I'd be training, be like, fuck it, I'm gonna go after it. Fuck it, I'm gonna go after it. You know, I can sense it because like at times, you know, fighting technical all the time gets a little bit boring every once in a every once in a while. So I had to like break myself away from that and be like, look, I had to be a tactician at every point and at every point of the moment. And you know, that's the biggest thing. Like I had to, like, it was a mindset thing for me once I got in that cage. It wasn't it wasn't technical issues. It wasn't like the preparation for the fight, you know, because that was the best. That was like me, like honestly prepared from like on the physical standpoint. And at that point, I thought mental, but it wasn't. Like it like my mental was like once I got in there, I was like, how can I say it? Like once I started getting going, like I didn't like my I wasn't able to sense the change of shifts because I turned into too much of a meathead, you know. So that's the best way to put it, you know, like the what I didn't catch up and pretty much I turned into a meathead and I should have stayed tactical, should have stayed technical, and I didn't, and I paid for it.
Yeah, no, 100%, and thank you for that walkthrough of your performance. Obviously, you mentioned there about you were previous on the 9-fight win streak. You were undefeated in the UFC prior to the Font loss. You've talked a little bit there about your mentality shift, about trying to not go into that war mode, if you like. Is there a mentality shift now, moving away, having tasted your first defeat in the octagon, now fighting a guy of a similar ranking to you? Is there any mentality shift at this next stage of your career at all?
Man, I know how I am. Honestly, I know how I am, and if like I'll say it like this, the if it turns into a war, I'm there. Like I will you'll never see me take that like back step. But the mentality shift on my end is, if I'm gonna kill you, I have to do it as clean as possible. Like that's the best way. That's the best way for me to explain it.
Mm.
Is like if I'm throwing my right hand, my left hand has to stay up. If I'm throwing my left hook, like my right hand has to stay up. I can't go back and just start like going into the how can I say it, like into I guess the best way is I gotta turn into a sniper again. I can't let myself be like going out there and just swinging and banging. Too much. I had a little bit of too much of Houston inside me. Whenever I went into that fight trying to swing and bang, and I should have been like technical and tactical. But it's so for me, it's still again like if I get dragged out into that, then I'm like if that's what the fight turns out to be, I'm there. I'm there for it. But obviously, I don't want to be there. I want to make sure that I do it as clean as possible. So first and foremost, I have to be clean, I have to be technical, I have to be tactical, and then making sure that I capitalize on every single opportunity I can. Again, I'm still gonna be setting up stuff and looking for like a spectacular knockout. But if it doesn't come, I'm glad I'm gonna be happy with the 30-27 all the way around.
Yeah, no, 100%. And obviously you mentioned there we've got to talk a little bit about, we're talking off camera about the UFC 292 and the Bantamweight Championship changing hands. Sean O'Malley defeating Aljamain Sterling in Boston, Massachusetts. You mentioned off camera that you're doing a live stream of the fight. Just your overall reaction now. We've had a couple of days to digest the results and what you think of the change of hands at 135.
So yeah, it kind of went back to what I was like. I would always pick Aljo 100%. He's the homie. He's also like, I know how good he is. But also at the same time, I knew how good O'Malley was with his striking and like the distance management and all that too. I remember earlier on, like whenever I went to Vegas for International Fight Week, I saw Aljo train a little bit. And I was talking to Aljo, and he was like, "Oh, I'm really like worried about his distance." Like, bro, dude, you're like you have really great distance management as well too. You just can't you just have to close the distance smart. And I felt like in that first round that like it was like kind of like a little bit of a back and forth, not too crazy, nothing too crazy. But the way he finished that round, that was the way I thought he was going to come out into the second. But I remember seeing the first initial stages of that second round, and immediately in my mind, like I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head how my reaction was in that moment, like in the second round, while I was live, because while we were live, like I can't remember what I was saying because I think I was so tuned in and locked in that I was like like I don't like how this looks. Like I don't like how this looks in the sense of like Aljo's starting to get a little bit too impatient and he's starting to reach. He's starting to do a lot of these things. And I was like, and if you're doing that against O'Malley's going to put your lights out. Like he's doing a lot of big movements. He's doing a lot of big movements, lunging forward. And that's like O'Malley's timing that. He's whether no matter what you think of O'Malley, whether you think he's like, a guy who was like crushing a lot of cans, earlier on, but like that motherfucker has like proved himself every single step of the way. Even though his Pedromunhoz fight was like super lackluster, like I can kind of see how that fight with Pedro and his fight with Aljo have a lot of similarities in the sense of like he was gathering a lot of his timing in that first round to try to look for the bigger shots and land them. And I know that Pedro fight ended up kind of, being a little bit lackluster in the sense of the eye poke, but the Aljo fight, he saw a lot of he saw a lot of things that he liked. And man, when you saw him throw that straight right, he put everything into it, man. Like he sat down on that motherfucker, was looking to put his lights up, man. And like a lot of people would have went like directly to sleep, but Aljo is still up there fighting, so I will give him props for that. But yeah, no, that was it was also kind of weird to see, if that makes sense, because you kind of never imagine O'Malley being the champ, coming from fighter to like if you're asking a whole bunch of fighters, you're like, nah, man, like a lot of these guys kind of would like look at him and be like, nah, man, he's good. He's good at what he does, but also like the wrestling aspect, like the whole full round of mixed martial arts. Like I don't like a lot of people have been like, nah, he won't be champion. He can't be champion. But with how good he was, especially that night, you can see definitely he had like, how can I say it? He was championship material that night, especially, man. He was really tight. He was really tactical. And again, kind of going back, he was really patient. He was waiting for his opportunity. He said it himself, he had 5 rounds to do it and he did it in 2,
Yeah.
so
I guess
props.
that, I guess that leads me into my next question, because there's a lot of debate about who should be his first title defense. There's obviously a conversation about should Sterling get a rematch. O'Malley himself has called for the Cheeto rematch. You've obviously got Merab and Sandhagen waiting in the wings with their own injuries. How long do you anticipate O'Malley will hold the bantamweight title?
It to me, it honestly kind of depends on matchups,
Hmm.
and how active he wants to be. I feel like if you tend to be super active, and like he's training for certain type of fighters, like I'll say like this, like if he tries to fight Aljo, like tries to fight somebody like a heavily wrestling style, like I feel like he's been preparing for it for a year. I think that's easier. Like I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to say. Like maybe I'm like thinking way too much into it or whatever. But there's he can definitely hold it. Like he can definitely hold the belt for a good couple fights, depending on the matchups and all that stuff. If he fights Corey just stylistically, I think that's a fun fight for everybody. Like that's a fun fucking fight for everybody. Especially since like Corey, man, his distance management is very good. Like I like him and O'Malley have really great distance management. But I will say that Corey is not afraid to make it a whole mixed martial arts fight. And when he closes distance, man, it's very hard for a lot of people uh to see the close of the distance and also the level changes that he's able to do, man. Look at Cheeto Vera whenever he fought Dominic Cruz. He was sprawling heavy on Dominic.
Mm.
Like the shots, and I feel like pedigree for wrestling, I would have to give it the wrestling pedigree to Dominic Cruz and not Corey. But man, Corey was able to get Cheeto down and was able to do it kind of pretty with ease, pretty much with ease. And uh I feel like that should be the next fight, but I know he's injured and I know he's recovering. I don't know where Merab is at, so that kind of leaves him out. That kind of leaves him out a little bit. I'm not sure if he can train at full capacity just yet, if he's able to turn around and do December. So I think the only 2 matchups, like I guess that kind of really makes sense for December would probably be either Henry or Cheeto. And if I'm being honest with you, I feel like if you take a quite a bit of time off and you come back, you fight, you lose, I feel like you shouldn't be getting that next shot. Whether like if Corey was healthy right now, he'd be next in line. Or if Rob was healthy right now, he'd for sure be the next in line. Aljo, I kind of it's weird. I feel like if a lot of these guys, like if they get finished and they get finished definitively, like I feel like I feel like you should get one and then come and then be
Yeah.
able to fight for the title. Like, because I don't feel like I don't know how to explain it, man. Like it's like if like for Max Holloway, he won on his run, he lost to Volkanovski, got the immediate rematch. You know, I felt like that was warranted.
Yeah.
But like I I feel like your title reign has to be a little bit longer, if that makes sense, instead of like a three fights. But also at the same time, again, I don't know. I don't know. I just I I feel like if you just held the belt once, like you won the belt, you lost the belt, I don't think you should get an immediate rematch. Like I like again, like kind of going back as an example, like when Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw fought, like Cody won the belt off of Dominic, fought TJ, lost to him, but then they gave him an immediate rematch,
Mm.
and you kind of see that. That's what I'm trying to get at, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Mm.
But I don't know. Do you think 3 fights? Do you think 3 fights is good? Like 3 title defenses is good enough for an immediate rematch, especially if you got finished like definitively?
I think
Like
I think
you
I'm
personally.
I think I'm well. Thank you for the question, but I think I'm more in your camp of if it depends on the nature of the result. Like it was a definitive finish. I know there's been some conversation about the stoppage, but it was definitive enough. If it was a split decision victory for O'Malley, maybe there's a conversation. But I think when there's a stoppage involved, I think you're right. Maybe you have to earn your place back. I suppose I suppose in a similar way, it would be the equivalent of your fight against Rob not going your way, and then you getting someone like a Song Yadong or a Pedromunhoz who's ranked in a similar position to Font. You've got this Jonathan Martinez fight to build back up off that loss, so it should be the same principle at the title level.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, that's where I'm kind of looking at it as well too, you know. That's how I'm looking at it as well. Like I feel like it wouldn't be fair, like for like, let's just say like this, like me losing Rob, then just be like, man, like even though I try, even though like it was like short notice opportunities, I'm like, hey bro, like I'll do Cheeto, I'll do Corey, you know, short notice opportunities like that, like that's an opportunity that I was willing to jump on. But like again, if I were to just like, if I were to have taken the, like if I fought Rob, the next, you know, I'm fighting, let's just say like Peter Yan. I don't know if he's ranked in front of him. I fight Peter, you know, I feel like that would have been a little bit of a disservice for Rob, you know, if that makes sense. But like, you know, I had to earn my way back into that position. You know, I had fought my way to get into ranked, you know, and there's a lot of guys like, again, that's where I was like, I was at the tail end of the rankings. That's why I was like, hey, I don't mind giving these guys who are not ranked shots because, you know, I know the name of the game, you know, they're just right outside the top 15. That would have been a good way to, you know, like stay active because a lot of the guys were log jammed in the top 15, but got that matchup. But again, I feel like there's sometimes where you have to earn it, but then also there's going to be opportunities where you can, like, let's just say, I think Aljo's taking some time off, you know, like, hey, like, okay, now if the opportunity comes up where like, hey, like O'Malley has nobody, everybody's injured, Aljo, you're good to go. Then I feel like that'd be a good opportunity for Aljo to get his win back, you know, but I don't know. There's a lot of things that kind of go into it because it does get a little wishy-washy up there, you know, because a lot of these guys are injured. A lot of these guys don't want to fight. They're trying to wait for a title shot. They're trying to do a lot of things. So I don't know. It just depends.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And turn the conversation back to yourself for my final question, Adrian. You can be as brief or as detailed as you like with this one. But what I would like you to do is I would like you to give me a walkthrough of the perfect day on the 14th of October. So what happens when you wake up in the morning to when you go to sleep at night?
Oh man, me waking up, eating eggs, bacon, and pancakes, having a good meal, then having my lunch, having a good meal that day, you know, maybe some rice, some chicken, you know, maybe throw some hot sauce in that bitch and whatever, you know, and then walk in, nice warm up, get going, feel loose, get in the cage. In a perfect world, you know, Jonathan Martinez throws the left kick and I catch him with the right punch, you know, catch him with the right punch and, you know, he falls. I'm up, I'm around, I help him up. You know, we go get some brownies afterwards, you know, celebrate, you know, and, you know, just walk around, like get a beer, you know, I think that'd be a pretty solid day, you know, so, but yeah, getting a dub and getting it in dramatic fashion would be the perfect day. But again, it's the top 15. There's all these guys are tough as fuck. So will it go that way? Will it go like smooth as a 5-second knockout? I don't know, but I'm hoping for it.
One can dream. Adrian, it's always a pleasure to catch up. It's great to see you back in action. Thank you for your time today, and I wish you the best of luck for fight night.
Thank you, brother.